All right, Patriots. Now, this story here is wild. Now, on the heels of the government shutdown, on the heels of Trump saying he's going to send out $2,000 dividend checks to $2,000 dividend checks to Americans, we have had an explosive breakthrough that came through in the last 48 hours. Something that you and I probably would agree on that we knew, but just couldn't pinpoint. You remember all of the backlash. I mean, how could you forget it? From after January the 6th, where they talked about how police officers' lives were taken, which wasn't true. I think 98% of the officers actually took their own lives, and one passed away of a heart issue days after January the 6th. But the Democrats say, oh, police officers were getting beat. And there was another thing that happened. On the top of the quote unquote insurrection that was instigated by Ray Epps. Now, if you're not familiar with who Ray Epps is an alleged, and all of this stuff that I'm saying is alleged only for the purpose of protection, but I'm going to do what I always do, which is show you the facts to back it up. Just in case a wiggle word gets in there and somebody says, you didn't say A when you should have said B. No, so alleged. This for educational purposes, but I'm going to educate you on what has been revealed. So we had the insurrection, and we had Ray Epps, who was there instigating it, an alleged FBI asset. Then it comes out that there was over 150 FBI confidential informants that were in the crowd at J6, but the coup de grace it all is the individual who dropped the kaboom sticks over there by the DNC headquarters, the one that they had to evacuate, that was right next to Kamala Harris, and they had to evacuate her out. This person's identity has been revealed. And do you want to know something? The fact that it was done by independent internet sleuths over at the Gate Analysis, I'm blown back. That agencies like the FBI that was ran by Christopher Wray, or the CIA, they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't get to the bottom of it, but we did, and I'm going to share it with you today because the lid is coming off, and we have to continue to push the line. That's why these Democrats are so extreme right now, because their veil has been ripped off, shredded off, and you got the lamestream media and the Democrat politicians double time lying, which is, you know, when somebody's lying to you and they're like really, really trying to push the lie hard, you believe a lot less. But when somebody just, hey, this is what it is, you're more likely to believe it. Well, they've been far past the line, and now they're going to be exposed. So let's check this out. So, and I got clips for you. Make sure you watch these clips, because these are actual video clips of the individual going to the DNC headquarters, putting the kaboom sticks down, and even who they are. So let's get into it. Former Capitol Police officer accused in January the 6th pipe kabooming plot by journalist investigation matching suspect's gate. Wait till you hear who this person is and who they work for. A new report based on the analysis of the gate, that's GAIT, of an individual who placed a pipe kaboom in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, claims that the gate matches a former member of U.S. Capitol Police. On January 6, 2021, kaboom sticks were found at the Republican and Democratic National Committee's headquarters. The kaboom sticks, which never detonated, were placed shortly before they became a small piece of the larger events of January 6th that saw protesters enter the U.S. Capitol. Yeah, FBI employees, allegedly. The new allegation was advanced by Blaze Media in a report published Saturday based on a software analysis of the suspect's gate conducted for the outlet. Remember, Gate Analysis is the company that did all of this and was able to pinpoint who the individual is. On Wednesday, Blaze Media founder Glenn Beck, right on Glenn, said the outlet had discovered the identity of the suspect who placed at least one of the kaboom sticks. U.S. Capitol Police have not commented on the allegation. The outlet reported evidence has emerged recently that pointed toward law enforcement possibly being involved in the planting of the kaboom sticks, per a source close to the congressional investigation into January 6th. The report claimed that a match of between 94% and 98% was found between the gate of the suspect and Shawnee Ray Kirkhoff, 31 years old, of Alexandria, Virginia. So in other words, all of the analysis, because what was happening is the footage that was being put out by the FBI. If you're in the video editing, you'll understand what I mean. And if not, I'll explain it simply. What they were doing is they over pixelated the image, which means like they expanded it out so much that it was extremely hard to be able to view it. So you can distort an image by stretching it or by shrinking it and making it too difficult for somebody to really be able to see clearly, especially on video, especially if it's a black or white video. You can distort them to make it difficult to see the eyes, the eye color, the real face structures. And it was January of 2021, so everybody was masked up because the pandemic had started. And doesn't this make even more sense? You know, I've been calling it the pandemic since the jump, because what are the odds that just perfectly, the pandemic would come, which would shield Biden into a basement. Nobody really thinks twice about it, except those of us who knew what was going on. Everybody's masked up. So guess what? The Democrats are passing everything in the world to try to help people while allowing 20 million illegal immigrants in, but everybody's masked up. So you can't tell who's an illegal and who's not, right? So then the next thing we go through when we leading up to these issues with the courts and whatnot. So these folks, since the pandemic, have had this thing stacked, and they went and grabbed one of their own and got them to do the job. Now, wait till I show you the video of this individual with the kaboom sticks communicating with the Capitol Police. But as you heard the individual's name, let's listen to this quick news clip, because I got a few clips for you that I'm going to share. So just hang in there with me. Check this one out first.
The FBI is renewing its investigation into an unsolved case. The agency released several new security camera videos of the still unidentified suspect responsible for planting pipe bombs inside the offices of the Democratic and Republican National Committees in D.C. The video show the suspect's path before and after the bombs were placed the night before the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The FBI says the suspect is about 5 feet 7 inches tall. He or she wore a face mask, a gray hoodie, Nike sneakers, black gloves, and was carrying a backpack. The FBI is offering a $500,000 reward for information that leads them to an arrest.
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, because I will never ask you for a cash app, a super chat, or a donation. You hitting that like button is more than enough. And if you are subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And whether you're subscribed now or subscribed already, make sure that you hit the notification bell and you select all, because YouTube has issues getting notifications out. But when you select all, YouTube will make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. So as you saw there, okay, so they said 5'7", and she was correct. She said he or she, but we already know now it's a she. And this is her, former Capitol Police officer, a forensic match for January 6th kaboom stick dropper, sources say. So this is her, Shawnee Ray Kirkhoff. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And look at this. She's a Capitol Police officer. Isn't that such a coincidence? A computer program that compared the kaboom stick suspect's gait to that of Shawnee Kirkhoff produced a 94% match. A forensic analysis of a female former U.S. Capitol Police officer's gait is a 94 to 98% match to the unique stride of the long-sought J6 kaboom stick suspect. Now, here's why the stride is such a big deal. Is because Shawnee Kirkhoff had leg surgery. And when she had leg surgery, it permanently distorted the way that she walks. And you're going to see that. Matter of fact, let's roll off into it. So right here, this is a clip of allegedly Shawnee Kirkhoff, got the backpack, got the kaboom sticks with her. And you're going to see some people ride up the street. You see that this is the Capitol Hill Club. Capitol Police. Watch it now. Hey. Oh, they're going to give you an even better shot of it. Now, what person that's walking down the street in the middle of the night with kaboom sticks, a hoodie on, masked up, would take the time to wave at the police? As a matter of fact, you'd be trying to do everything you could to get out of the way to not even be seen by them. But not this person. Why were they so comfortable and so calm with no panic? Because everybody knew. Okay, so that's one clip. Check this one out. Now, this one, what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to be skipping to some parts because it's 15 minutes long, but I'm not going to play that. But I'm just going to show you certain parts. But we can watch this individual. Check this out. That music is annoying. I'm going to skip to the part where you actually see her go up to the, here you go. Now watch this. This is right outside. This is right down there, right by the DNC building. Check this out. So she goes, walks up, goes over to the bench, decides to have a seat for a minute, right? No big deal. Nothing to it. Now, here's the part. This is where the actual kaboom sticks were dropped. You're going to see her come walking up here in a minute, right here on this side. Here she comes. But look how granulated they got that thing. Squatted down over here. So that's what this is. That's her over there by the wall. And as you see this red circle, that's where they found it. Same exact street sign, everything. This is that. So we got this same individual from where they came from. And here's the crazy part about it. The card that was used to catch the bus or the transportation there, which purchased a year earlier by I think a member of the Air Force. A member of the Air Force. It was a guy. He went and purchased this transportation card, never used it. But the card was used by this individual that night when the kaboom sticks were being dropped off. Real quick, something extremely important I want to point out to you. As we go into January the 1st, open enrollment for insurance, health insurance is happening right now. And for a lot of seniors, some that are just getting onto Medicare, many that are on Medicare, they're terrified. They don't know what's going on. You got Obamacare getting ready to expire, seeing with the tax credits. But at the end of the day, you do have a solution. My partnership with Chapter has been extremely helpful to seniors just like yourself, if that's what you're looking for. They have skilled and unbiased agents that in less than a 20-minute phone call that's absolutely free, they can help you understand if the Medicare plan you got is the best one available on the market. Because it would suck to find out you've been paying into something and your prescriptions aren't covered and your doctor is no longer in network. It's just a short phone call. That's all it takes. So you can either visit the website, the askchapter.org/realpolitics, or call the number on the screen. Either which way, make sure you're protected with the best Medicare plan available. Contact Chapter. Coincidence that a gentleman that's within the military, when bought the same transportation card that the kaboom stick dropper used on the night when the kaboom sticks was dropped. They just coincidentally have to be in the military. Maybe she picked it up off the ground. She didn't know. It just was a heck of a coincidence, right? I don't think so. Hold on, I'm not done. I got more for you because I'm sick of these demon rats always trying to spin stuff and using this propaganda crap and making us fight against each other. You got family members that are Democrats and family members that are Republicans fighting all over a lie, where if the truth was unveiled, you and I know our family members, our friends, and even people we don't know who believe in that BS would have a change of heart. But when you fed propaganda, when you fed hatred, you fed lies, you fed evil, they became hypnotized by hatred. They're literally hypnotized by hatred. I hear these people say they wake up feeling miserable. They wake up feeling angry, but that's comfortable to them because peace and tranquility is not normal. Democrats can only thrive in chaos. I mean, Democrat politicians, their policies, their power can only thrive in chaos and ignorance. And we got to fix that. Now, check out this with Julie Kelly, who, while speaking with Steve Bannon, she really goes in on it. The Real America's Voice has been doing a great job. Listen to this breakdown because it will blow your mind.
As the individual seen on that very grainy, low quality surveillance video of a hoodie suspect walking around Capitol Hill on January 5th, that evening, which is the time frame that the FBI and law enforcement believe those two dummy explosive pipe bombs were planted outside the headquarters of the RNC and the DNC, only to be conveniently and coincidentally discovered 17 hours later to coincide with the start of the joint session of Congress. So apparently what happened is Steve Baker was looking at video from January 6th, Capitol Police officers who were using what they call non-lethal munitions on the crowd. You and I have talked about that. And he apparently saw a Capitol Police officer who he thought had the same gait pattern as this individual on January 5th, who still has not been identified, January 5th, 2021.
Is there something unique enough? Is there something unique enough about the suspect? Because this is like the Magruder film, kind of. You and Beatty and Posobiec and Glenn Beck's team and many others for hours and hours and hours have gone over all this grainy footage. I mean, Beatty was on the show one time. You talk about Glenn and his team. I mean, Beatty was on the show one time for an hour, and I think we went over this thing, and he had like every movement of this. And I didn't have a suspect at the time, but why this is so important, why the official narrative was a lie, and how this was going to be something that would explode the whole fedsurrection, ma'am. Right.
Well, as Darren Beatty has said, and I think Darren Beatty and I have uncovered the most information, evidence, shady circumstances related to the pipe bombers, both at the DNC and RNC. But what Darren always said is if you expose the truth about the pipe bombs, the entire January 6th narrative unravels, because that was the incident, that those two incidents really initiated the panic that day.
And I think that's what Glenn's talking about. If you solve the identity of this pipe bomber, or you can get the idea that the feds knew a lot more about this pipe bomber, even maybe being part of them or knowing about it, this gets to be Watergate level, because then the entire official narrative collapses, correct?
Correct. And this is something we've talked about for years. And Darren Beatty and I have suspected for years, and you and I have talked about this as well, that this was an inside job, that law enforcement in some capacity was tied to the planting of one or both of these devices. I just had a report out last month that you and I talked about, more suspicious surroundings related to the woman who discovered the RNC pipe bomb. She worked for FirstNet, which of course is a law enforcement agency, and then the DNC. So it's not exactly news that this is an inside job, that law enforcement was somehow involved in one capacity or the other. I think this might be new to Glenn because of how he's talked about it, but it certainly is not to us. So
there you heard it. You know, you heard this lady has investigated this deeply, done deep dives on this. And they've come out with this analysis that's 98% that they've identified this person. And like you heard them say, the fact that this has come out now, I always knew. I knew that J6 was a setup. They did that to use it. They edited Trump's speech. They just did it again on the BBC. The director of the BBC was just let go or resigned because they took that Trump speech and I mean, they chopped it up worse than American networks did. At least in America, they only took out the phrase peacefully and patriotically, which is huge because that was the catalyst for all of the impeachments. Not the impeachments, but for him being brought up on charges. You know, Trump told the people to go and do the insurrection because they took out that phrase. The BBC, they chopped it up into different parts and plugged stuff in. They did a horrible ratchet job where it really did make President Trump sound deranged, like he was literally telling them to go attack. It was horrible journalism from a public network like our PBS or NPR that the Democrats tried to hold the country hostage to refund it. But one thing, like I've told every person that watches this channel that was just panicking and was getting frustrated as Trump was in office, and man, we're not seeing anybody held accountable. We're not seeing any. It's happening now. And remember, they have to make sure they got all their ducks in a row because they got the entire mainstream media apparatus helping them. And this is exposing the intelligence agencies who still have loyalists deep within it, who made themselves be implicated. So they know they're going to try to cover it up, block it, redirect, misdirect. But the fact that we're here and we have a name, Shawnee Kirkhoff, we've got pictures, we've got video, we've got Nancy Pelosi on video on her own daughter's documentary saying that it was her fault that she didn't take the National Guard troops. We know that they never called in the Capitol Police chief. They never called him in to testify for the J6 committee. You know why? Because when they spoke to him off the record, he admitted, no, I told Nancy Pelosi multiple times. President Trump tried on the 4th. He tried this day. He tried on the 5th. When he starts talking, their whole storyline blows up. Then we got Ray Epps, the mysterious man who was there telling everybody, we're going in. Was not arrested, wasn't brought up on any charges until he was exposed and all the ruckus kicked off. Next thing you know, he got like 6 months probation. So let's see what happens with this, but just rest assured, the layers and the dominoes will continue to fall. You and I will continue to call them out. We'll continue to represent our country, the USA of the United States of mother in America. We will not let illegals invade our place. We will not let the Democrat Party separate us by race. At the end of the day, our skin tone may be different. Our pigmentation may be different, but on the inside, you cut you. If I'm cut, we both have blue inside our bodies and red when it drop out. So we got to be united, not separated and fighting. And more information like this coming out makes it that much easier to get this country back in unison, pushing forward towards the golden age of America. So if you hung out with me and you watched this video up to this point, I want to say thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. If you haven't already, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Hit the like button. And if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. Most importantly, as always, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.